Welcome to Back into the Future with Mark and Carol. Well, hello everyone. Very special little Christmas present here for you on good old Back into the Future, the Massive Late Fee spin-off show.
Merry Christmas.
I'm Mark, as always, and with me is my beautiful, gorgeous, very merry wife, Carol. How are you, Carol?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. No, hey, what's up? What's up?
Is
that for the 90s show or whatever?
I don't know. I had a moment.
So, this is a very special episode of Back into the Future. Which, for those of you that don't know, so this is a Patreon exclusive show that we do on Patreon, but we figured for Christmas we'd treat you guys, we'd give you a little sneak preview of our Back into the Future show and let you know what it's all about. But so like I said, this is us discussing movies or TV, but we're here in the modern day. It's no longer 1996, soon to be next time you listen to Massive Late Fee or Retro Late Fee 1997, but it is the modern day.
Yep, and it's Christmas Day.
It is Christmas Day, so it's a Christmas present for you.
That's how much we love you all, that we are recording this podcast on Christmas.
And I'm not editing it, and we're releasing it on Christmas.
And if you hear any whirring in the background, it's because my new Christmas present is a Roomba.
Roomba.
Yay.
Which you named $5 Sucky.
I changed it back. Now it's called Sucker.
Sucker the Roomba. Sucker the robot.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's when the robot uprising happens, I think the Roombas will be the easiest to defeat, right? They'll be the fodder at the beginning, right?
I'm sure, yes.
Be like, we got to kick these Roombas out of the way before we get to the death bots.
And the Roombas will just be trying to vacuum between their toes or whatever.
They'll be sucking up the bones.
Gross.
Which, again, $5 Sucky. It's kind of like... Anyway, so speaking of Sucky, we watched The Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah.
I haven't seen many reviews of this. The only review I really saw was a blurb from my friend Chris Williams. Check him out if you're interested. He's got a show called We're Watching Here with his friend Perry where they do movie reviews. But he liked it, I guess, and I did not.
Yeah, I did not either. I literally fell asleep at one point.
Did you really fall asleep?
I really did.
So we watched it on HBO Maximum. There's it's available.
It's the danger of watching shows at home with a blanket in the dark at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, but there's advantages to that too.
Yeah. Well, it's also an advantage to get a nap when a movie sucks.
Watching shows with you and me under a blanket. Anyway, so The Matrix Resurrections. Unnecessary? That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about this movie.
Yeah, it's gratuitous. That's all it is. It's just like playing to the fans, and it's just clapping itself on the back the whole time, saying how wonderful it is.
It's a lot of fan service. It's a lot of remember the fucking Matrix? Wasn't that the greatest thing in the world?
Which, we just rewatched all the Matrix movies with our son to get him ready to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm. He loved it.
Yeah.
It's maybe made for 11-year-olds. I don't know.
Maybe. But we didn't need all the reminders because we just saw it.
Maybe Lana Wachowski didn't progress. I don't know. But... I mean, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of a disappointment that half of the runtime is taken up by the original Matrix movies.
Yeah, they're just showing like clips and shit over and over. Like, what? We saw this already, guys.
We get it,
right?
Like they're holding hands, and then they show like Trinity and Neo holding hands in like, I don't know, the Matrix resolution or whatever, and it's like, yep.
Yeah, we know they love each other. Thanks.
We got it. They also held hands years ago. 60 years ago, even though it's only supposed to be 20 years ago.
Like, why did they even bother with that kind of detail? Like, it didn't affect anything.
Did they really just want to put Jada Pinkett in old age makeup? I don't understand what the point of that was.
I don't.
Because you could have just not done makeup for anybody and just been like, yep, this is what they look like now.
Yeah. And
they had to come up with the whole, it's weird you didn't age.
But they did age.
They aged some, but not 60 years.
And, it was kind of funny to watch Keanu Reeves doing an action movie when he's got to be, like, in his 50s now, right?
Oh, I know.
At least.
I think he's in his, maybe late 50s, yeah.
Yeah. And, he used to do all the kung fu shit, and now his big move is to take his hands and push at the air and be like, whoosh, I'm pushing the bullets away. I'm pushing you away. So, yeah.
It's a lot of hands out in front of me.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Keanu Reeves is cool and everything. And I'm not trying to make fun because, like, I'm old. I can't do kung fu either.
We love Keanu Reeves.
But we just finished watching the movies where he was doing kung fu. And then we watched this and it's like, oh, yeah, they did too age. Shut up.
Oh, my God. But recently I listened to... So I'm a big fan of Mr. Sunday Movies. His podcast, The Weekly Planet. And recently they did an episode on the Animatrix. And I want to play a quick excerpt. Don't sue me, James and Meso. But I want to play a quick excerpt from their Caravan of Garbage episode on the Animatrix that I think is apropos here.
People are seeing these things and they know something is wrong and nobody's telling them. And so they're trying to make sense of the information that they are, being subjected to. I thought that was a really interesting perspective and not just like... Because, look, you could have gone into this and go, here's another guy, he's a guy like Neo and he's just got a coat and he's got to go in and he's got to break into or whatever and he's got an agent, it's not Smith, but he looks like Smith and whatever. You could have easily done that with this, Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know whether that is like an off-putting thing for this, but I think...
So... That's essentially exactly what they did for this movie. I love how he points out that, it's like, because they're talking about the Animatrix, which, from what I've heard, I haven't actually seen it, is an interesting series of movies that take place in the Matrix world. They don't feature Neo. They're just, like, offshoots. There's one, I guess, that's like, this people think it's a haunted house, but it's just a glitch in the Matrix. And it's like, those are interesting ideas, right? But instead of doing any of that for this movie, what they did is exactly that. It's a retread. Oh, it's Smith, but it's Hugo Weaving hates these movies, so it's Jonathan Groff now. Remember Hamilton? He was the king in Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
And it's like he's doing kind of a Hugo Weaving impersonation a little bit. I mean, he's not going full on. They knew enough not to just like bring on like a Robert Marquand or whatever to be like Mr. Anderson, and stuff like that. Like, and he calls him Tom instead. Very pointedly, he calls him Tom and not Mr. Anderson.
It's weird to me too that like they were like enemies for 3 movies and now all of a sudden they're friends.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't really explain that either. He deleted him essentially. Like he killed him, and them killing each other. Like him killing Neo, basically, like because it balanced the equation. That's what balanced the equation or whatever, and got rid of Agent Smith and returned the Matrix back to normal. And they don't really explain how he's just back, and he's like, oh, once you left, I was freed, and like all this stuff, and it's like, okay. And he helps at the end. It's so weird. Yeah. It would have had more of an impact if it was Hugo Weaving, Australia's own Hugo Weaving.
For sure.
but it wasn't for reasons that I alluded to. He hates these movies, doesn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. Never wants to have anything to do with any movies he's in. It seems like because I think he was in the Transformers movies. He did a voice in the Transformers movies, and then eventually he was like, "Fuck this." And then he was in the Marvel movies, and then when they brought back Red Skull for the Endgame, or whatever, Infinity War. Well, both. It's Robert Marquand because he does a very good Hugo Weaving impersonation. It's him doing the voice.
Okay.
And just like I don't know CGI or whatever for the body because he didn't want to come back. So he's like never wants to come back for anything. But and Morpheus is not back.
Yeah, no, some guy who's like Morpheus's reincarnation as a program?
As a program, yeah.
Like, what? I don't understand what they were doing in this movie.
I don't get it either. And he has to say about 6 different times, he's like, I'm Morpheus.
Yeah, like we heard you.
We understand. You're also a bald black person, and you're going to be Morpheus now. You're new Morpheus. Lawrence Fishburne, I've never heard that Lawrence Fishburne is like against doing these movies, so I don't know. I don't know if he was busy.
Did you check to make sure he's alive? Because, that shit happens a lot now.
Yeah, he's alive. It's true. The time of COVID, that stuff does that. People tend to die. But, no, he's still alive. Fuck, now I gotta check, because I'm not sure. I'm sure I would have heard if Lawrence Fishburne died, but let me check here.
I know that's your favorite.
Place your bets, everybody. Is Lawrence Fishburne still alive? He is 60 years old and still living.
Well, maybe that's it right there. He's 60 years old. Maybe he didn't feel like at 60 years old doing an action movie.
Keanu Reeves, 57.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he wouldn't have had to do much action. He would have had to recreate the scene where they fight to train Neo.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, that's a dumb, abbreviated, small scene, and they're like, hey, here's the red pill and shit like that, and it's like, we're just doing the Matrix again. Mm-hmm. For a lot of it, it was a reboot, and I'm so sick of this. The Force Awakens being as successful of a movie as it was is maybe the worst thing that has ever happened to Hollywood. Because now they're just like, oh, we can just just absolutely beat by beat remake a movie, but also say it's new and make a bunch of money off of it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's so, because a lot of it is like that. And then the parts that are new don't make a whole lot of sense. Sporadically interesting, I think, is the best way to describe it.
I think the movie was good in the beginning, and it would have continued to be good if it were a different movie and it were like a psychological thriller, and we just stayed trying to figure out, is he crazy? Does the Matrix really exist? Because
if it was the movie Zodiac, it would have been a better movie.
Because it was interesting watching him lose his mind and watching him interact with like Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris was awesome in the movie.
Yeah, I really liked his performance. It's just once like we got into the red pill, blue pill, and he's out in the real world and like in the Matrix and all this bull. It was bad. The Matrix parts of the movie were bad.
Yeah, you mean exactly. The parts where he was in the real world, quote unquote. Yeah, agreed. And that like the sequels where they took place mostly in the real world. That was also boring. Like the real world is boring in this universe, and the Matrix is the thing that's much more interesting. The problem with the Matrix sequels, one of the big problems, is that he's so powered up that there are no dramatic stakes for his character in a fight ever.
Right?
Because it's like once you can take on 1,000 Agent Smiths and hold your own, and then just fly away, it's like. Okay, who cares? Nothing's going to hurt you. And at least he's powered down in this movie. There's one point where he goes to try to fly, and he's like, yeah, it's not going to happen. He does the move, and he's like, no.
But then she can fly.
Right. But then now she can fly at the end. And then at the very end, they can both fly. And they're both twisting around, flying together like they're fucking birds. And there's some symbols with birds in the movie. And it's just, like you said, if he was seeing cracks to this, if he stayed in the Matrix and he was seeing cracks to the real world the whole movie, and we never knew the entire time whether he was crazy or it was real, if that question was never answered, then it would have been a better movie, I think.
Because it starts out where they're saying they're going to make a sequel to the game that he had made, and they're acting as though
The Matrix is a series of games.
And not having been their reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're trying to figure out, and that was the interesting part to me, is trying to figure out what was going on. But it's like, once we knew, it was like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like, you'd get reflections in things of somebody else that was supposed to be his reflection. That was interesting.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there was those were the things that were good.
This movie needed to be more subtle.
Yeah.
This is like taking a philosophy textbook and then this is the cinematic equivalent of taking a philosophy textbook and literally smashing someone over the head with it until they have a concussion. That's what this movie is. And it's not, like I said, it's sporadically interesting. The things that they do, like you said, with the reflection in the mirror, the stuff at the beginning where it's like, is this really happening? Is it not really happening? And that stuff was interesting, and that could have led to an interesting movie. They explain why he's able to see again. They explain why he's alive again. And they kind of explain... So, again, this is one of those things where it's like, you know how in the end of The Matrix... what's it called? Reboot? The Matrix
Reloaded?
Reloaded. There you go. Thanks. The Matrix Reloaded. You know how at the end of that, the architect sits in a chair and just says, hey, here's what's fucking going on. Mm-hmm. And explains stuff. And some of it's dumb and convoluted, but it's essentially just him saying, hey, we couldn't think of any better way to do this. So instead of you discovering it on your own and growing as a character and making interesting choices and stuff like that, we're just going to sit in a high-backed leather chair and explain it to you. Just like Lawrence Fishburne did in the first movie, which was somewhat acceptable in the first movie because there was a lot of fucking information going on there.
Yeah.
And this is our first introduction to this world.
That still wasn't the best way.
No, but that's what Neil Patrick Harris does in this movie for long stretches of time where he's basically like, hey, guess what? So the old architect, you know that dude, the guy that looks like Colonel Sanders, he's fucking gone. We killed him. We rebooted. We purged him. Lots of things were rebooted and purged in this movie as an explanation for why people look different or aren't there anymore. Like the Oracle's gone. She's been purged, apparently, which is weird because she was so integral in the not only the plot of the first three movies, but the structure of the Matrix itself. But instead, she's been purged, and Neil Patrick Harris is the new architect, and he's like, hey, you know, I know people, I know human beings, and I know this world, and I know you, and the only way to... Like, we gotta make the world more divided. Is essentially what he's saying. We gotta, like our world is right now. We gotta make people miserable because the more miserable we make people, the more energy their body produces.
It reminded me of Monsters, Inc.
Exactly.
When they're like, you know,
they take the plot from fucking Monsters Incorporated. Exactly.
And they just haven't realized yet that laughter is more powerful than screams. Yeah.
Oh my god. But so he explains that and he says, but the only way to keep it all together is to have you and Trinity both here at the same time, but you can't get together. You get together, it's too fucking powerful, and I can't control the universe. You got to be close-ish, always kind of wanting each other, but never able to quite have each other. And it's like, why? Why is that? And then when he leaves, when he and Trinity finally do leave, he's just sitting in his apartment with his fucking dumb cat, Deja Vu, and he's just like, well, things are still good. And they come back and they're like, whoa, and they're like, he's like, what are you trying to intimidate me and everything? Whatever. And he's like, these people are still going to be here. And they're like, no, we didn't come here to... Like, he basically acts like, hey, it doesn't matter that you're not here anymore. It was so important for him to have them both be there that they use the special pods that the Indian dude from the second movie, the third movie, the train station guy with the little settee girl, invented these pods to resurrection pods, they call them.
Well, because they literally had to be rebuilt. They used the pod to rebuild them.
Right.
And that was gross, too.
Right. But he's like, they were so important that they had to be resurrected and kept at, arm's length from each other. And then when they escape, Neil Patrick Harris acts like, nah, it doesn't fucking matter. People are still just going to want to be here or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. And they're like, no, we just wanted to thank you because, you gave us you freed us or whatever the fuck Carrie Ann Moss
You gave us
is.
another chance.
That's right. You give us another chance. And then they fly off together like fucking, it's so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I guess the implication is they're going to rescue everyone. It ends very much the way the first movie ends, where there's like, now we know and we're going to let everybody know and we're going to free people and shit like that.
But here's the thing. Give me the fucking blue pill because the real world looks awful.
Yeah, you don't want to live in Iowa where they can fucking grow their own strawberries now, Carol.
Oh, how exciting. Shit. No, I mean, I'm sorry. It's all like, it seems mean. Yeah. To wake people up to that.
Let me tell you, if the movie's a metaphor for anything, and they touch on that a little bit. They're like, oh, the Matrix it's a metaphor for when they're in the fake world. Like the metaphor, it's a metaphor for the trans community, which people have said before. It's a metaphor for this. It's a metaphor for that. They mention a bunch of stuff that it's a very quick montage scene, but they mention a bunch of stuff that people actually have said. This is the Matrix means this stuff. They're like, what's so good about the Matrix? It's a mind fuck. It's really weird. It's for like 15 minutes in the beginning ish of the movie's just sucking its own dick from the other movies. Just like, oh, these movies were so fucking awesome. And it's like, oh my god, it's like they're teenage. I know they're both women now, but it's like they're teenage boys. I would say that if they were born women, by the way, too. It's not a shot or anything. Right. But that's the mentality of this movie. And it just doesn't work. My friend Chris said it was badass. In no way did this movie strike me as badass at all.
Let me ask you, though. Chris is in his 20s, I'm guessing?
No, Chris is my age.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Chris. Never mind.
It's a compliment to Chris.
I guess. But I was just going to say, like Stefan liked it, right? Like, our son. Like, I just think that people who didn't experience it the first time might think it's cool.
If you've never seen The Matrix, you might think, oh, this is cool. But if you've seen the other movies, to me, this was no better than the third one, which is not a good movie. And not better than the second one. I think it's the law of diminishing returns with The Matrix. The first Matrix is a very, very good movie. And then the second one is not very good. And the third one's god-awful. And I think this one is maybe slightly better than the third one.
This one, the one thing it had going for it, though, is that the dude, what's his name? Help me.
Jeff Daniels, he plays the dude.
No.
Jeff Bridges, I'm sorry. Jeff Bridges.
Oh, Neo. I
Keanu Reeves.
Name. Thank you. Keanu Reeves looks better in this movie than he did 25 years ago because he's got the long hair and he's got the mustache.
He's got the John Wick hair. Yeah.
He looks much better. He looks much more like attractive than he did when he was all like, I'm a vampire, pale, short hair, like whatever. Okay. So yeah, that's the one thing I can say.
Carrie Ann Moss looks good.
Sure, she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, obviously
you go Carrie Ann Moss. We say.
Obviously, they did some good stuff with like makeup because I don't look like I looked like 25 years ago.
The strength of both of these movies, or for all of these movies, all these Matrix movies, the second one, the third one, this one, the strength of them is that Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
They're really good. And they're still good in this hunk of shit movie. But that's it. I mean, them and Neil Patrick Harris, that's it. And, Groff is fine.
Groff.
That's the one that's the new Neo. Or
okay.
not new Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, he's fine. And the rest of them are fine, serviceable. But Neil Patrick Harris and Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are outstanding, and that's the only good thing I can really say about the movie. Everything else is like it was either a rehash of stuff we've already seen, or there were some kind of new ideas, but they were so dumb and convoluted. It was just like,
yeah.
I think Lana Wachowski thinks that she's smarter than she is.
That's so mean.
I'm sorry, but I think that's what it is. Like, I don't understand. Like, this isn't groundbreaking shit. This is not interesting philosophy stuff. I think that she thinks, and both of them, both of the siblings from the second and the third movie, thought that, these ideas are so cool and groundbreaking that this is going to carry the movie. It doesn't, because they're not. They're not that clever. They're not that groundbreaking. They're not that smart.
But you know what? We saw them all. We saw some of them more than once. So no matter what we want to say about it, they made their money,
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they did a good job.
I'm just saying it worked.
Why do you want to be complimentary all of a sudden? Because I said something mean.
Oh, I'm not being complimentary. I'm saying, though, it works. Like, all the rehashes, all the reboots, like, we can complain, Hollywood's run out of ideas and they just keep serving us the same shit we already ate. Mm-hmm. Well, we're still eating it.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong about that.
So they're going to keep making it because they're getting money.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. But yeah, not good.
I wouldn't waste my time.
I wouldn't either. It's 2 hours and 28 minutes, and I don't think it's worth it.
No. I mean, it could have been an hour and 28 minutes if they had cut out all the old clips that they threw in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it might have been a little bit better, and I might not have fallen asleep. So,
yeah, I was pretty disappointed, I have to say. Yeah. I wanted it to be good. I wanted them to have some interesting ideas. They don't. Like, there's like we said, there's a couple things that are sporadically interesting, but they're abandoned way too quickly, and they ultimately don't play much of a role in the plot. And once he gets freed, it's like there should have been a question. Like, the end could have left some ambiguity of, like, is he really doing this? Or is he, like, we could have gotten a flash, like a quick flash in the mirror of how we see, things. We could have had, like, a quick flash of him just, like, sitting in his office or something, just
staring in his face or something. Because, yeah, I mean, it's said flat out he had a psychotic breakdown, mm-hmm. and he's on medication for it. Yeah,
blue pills.
Yeah.
But
it could have gone the other way.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is it's too, like I said, it's too obvious. It's too hit you over the head. It's not good. Not a good movie. But yeah, that's our review. I wish we had better things to say on this Christmas, but it was not a gift.
But Merry Christmas to you all.
Yeah, and we will see you in the new year. Stay tuned for the
1997.
For the best of episode. Stay tuned for the bloopers episode, and then we'll be back in 1997 with you. And hey, if you like to listen to this, patreon.com. We've got more bonus shows. We've got early shows. We've got commercial-free shows. You can, tell them all the writing us and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can check out our website at latefee1994. No. Check out our website at retrolatefee.com.
Yeah.
Write us at latefee1994 at AOL.com.
Mm-hmm.
And tell your friends.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.